Washington Grown is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Agriculture's Specialty Crop Block Grant Program and the Washington Hospitality Association.
Hi everyone, I'm Christy Gordson and welcome to Washington Grown. Sometimes a refreshing drink just hits the spot, whether it's beer or cider or wine. All of these drinks feature crops grown right here in our state. So in this episode of Washington Grown, we're talking all about beverages from their start to finish.
We'll visit Poole's Public House in Spokane, where we'll make a Scotch Egg paired with their very own Scotch Ale.
If you like to play with your food, this is the perfect thing.
Did you brush your teeth today or have a cup of mint tea? You can probably thank a Washington farmer. Tomas will visit a mint farm to see the process of making mint oil.
Woo! That blast of Arctic swirling in your mouth.
And I'm visiting WSU's Cider Apple Research Program to learn all about the science behind cider.
Good luck, little buddies.
All this and much more today on Washington Grown.
Look at that! Good job!
Oh, look at those beautiful carrots.
Gotta go fast. Hot diggity.
How good does that look?
いただきます。
We're stopping by Poole's Public House in Spokane. This pub provides the perfect blend of tradition, food, and of course, beverages.
They've got cocktails if you want them. They have a good beer selection. They've got a really good wine list.
Wide selection of alcohol, whiskeys especially, great food, and great staff.
The pub is owned and operated by the Poole family, a tight-knit group that treats every customer like family.
It feels like family. It feels like they pay attention to what you want.
Wonderful food and great people.
Owner Scott Poole had always dreamt of creating a place where families and friends could gather to eat, drink, and watch their favorite sports games.
We're kind of a traditional pub atmosphere, but in America we've thrown the TVs in because people like watching their sporting events.
Yeah.
So I classify us as a kind of upscale sports pub.
One thing that keeps their loyal customers coming back is Poole's wide selection of brews.
Our biggest selling item is beer. But we always have local rotators because we have our own brew that we brew with the help of Waddell's Brewery. And that was fun to come up with Scotch Ale. And you'll get to sample that as well.
Later in the show, I'll be in the kitchen with Chef Jace cooking up a Poole's Scotch Egg to pair with their Scotch Ale.
Cheers, my friends. Oh yeah, that's good.
If you brushed your teeth today or chewed a stick of gum, then you are most likely supporting a Washington farmer. That's because Washington is the largest producer of spearmint oil. Today, I'm outside Othello meeting with third-generation mint farmer Christiansen to learn a little bit about how mint oil is grown and produced.
You know, I've been on a lot of farms, but it is always a pleasure to show up onto a mint farm because the smell, as soon as you walk in here, it's just nothing like it. What are we standing in?
So this is about 70 acres of spearmint, so it's native variety mint.
I asked Keen what makes growing mint unique compared to other crops.
Mint's different, whereas you can't just go and buy seeds and plant 1,000 acres the next year. You get little plantlets and you take them to a nursery and they'll grow them out in the spring early, and then you want to try to get them in the ground in May. So basically you start out with 1 acre of roots, and in 3 years you might have 40 acres of roots, but you have to start scaling up way early.
Keen said they process up to 120 barrels of mint oil each year. Now, the first step of that processing is to harvest the mint out of the field. So we went and checked out the special equipment he uses to do just that.
This is basically a silage chopper. It helps us to pick it up out of a windrow. So there's teeth here that lift them up and put it into the header. This is called an auger. And these are aggressive teeth that pull that material in to get it to chop. And so behind all that, there's these sections, these little knives, and they're going thousands of RPMs in a minute just to chop it into bits and pieces.
Once the leaves are cut, they're taken to the still, where they're boiled and steamed to extract the oil.
You mentioned that growing the plant is pretty easy, mint's an easy crop, but what are some of the hardest parts of being a mint farmer?
It'd be easy if you just had to grow mint, but now you actually have to process the mint. So it's like you're doing you're doing quite a bit of work here to get the oil out of the plant. You know, it'd be easy just to bale it all up and send it down the road to a processor, but you have to, for the timeliness and the quantity of material that you have to manage and deal with, like, it needs to be on farm. You can't just ship it out.
Now that I understand how the oil is processed, I wanted to see the final product.
All right, so this is it. This is the final product.
This is it. Yep, this is what we're after. For all this work, this is what we're after. So, this is Scotch Spearmint, and that's what this field is here.
Okay.
I like this. This is probably one of my favorite smelling spearmint oils.
Open that?
Yeah, open that sucker up and.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's nice, but it's really potent.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. To me, this is one of the cleaner spearmint smells, but it's amazing. You know, it's antimicrobial, it's antibacterial, it's amazing stuff. Yeah.
Woo! Because there's no sugar in that, so you just got that blast of Arctic swirling in your mouth. Woo!
Yeah. You know, Washington State grows some of the best. It's got the best climates. It's perfect for growing mint, and farmers do the best they can to produce the best quality crops we can, and that's who we are. That's what we do.
Well, keep it up. We appreciate it, man, for keeping the rest of the world minty fresh.
That's right.
Appreciate
Thanks, Thomas.
Thank you.
Kombucha is one of the latest health trends attracting attention across the United States. But does drinking it provide the health benefits as promised? Kombucha is usually made from fermenting black or green tea, which means, like all tea beverages, it will contain beneficial polyphenols, a form of antioxidant that help protect our cells from DNA damage. Since kombucha is fermented, non-pasteurized versions will contain probiotics, which are beneficial bacteria that our digestive system needs to help us stay healthy. In fact, consuming probiotics may help you fend off digestive issues like irritable bowel syndrome or diarrhea. However, pregnant women, young children, and the elderly should avoid consuming non-pasteurized beverages because those individuals are more susceptible to foodborne illnesses. Kombucha can easily be made at home with a variety of ingredients grown right here in Washington, including apples, blackberries, raspberries, or grapes, and makes for a fun alternative to high-calorie beverages.
Coming up, I'm in the kitchen at Poole's Public House, sampling their Scotch Egg with their Scotch Ale.
Cheers, my friends. Oh yeah, that's good.
We are back at Poole's Public House, a Spokane pub that treats you like family. On the menu, you'll find elevated pub fare with a wide selection of local brews and spirits.
They've got cocktails if you want them. They have a good beer selection. They've got a really good wine list.
This is a really neat spot. Great atmosphere. It's very energetic, and we seem to love it.
The atmosphere is warm and inviting, and the food is delicious.
The food's always really good. The service is always it's just stellar.
Great food and great staff.
I wrote our original menu about 6 months before we opened, and it was based simply on the fact of food that I like the way I like it prepared.
Yeah.
And then we opened, and I thought, oh my God, what am I do if people don't like that? So thankfully, they seem to like it.
What kind of food are people going to experience?
Anywhere from burgers to steaks to salads to traditional English food, which is my heritage, bangers and mash, bubble and squeak, Scotch eggs.
What are we going to make today?
We are going to make our Scotch eggs. We're going to pair that with our Scotch ale that we do locally.
Well, I'm here with Jace, the head chef at Poole's Public House, and we're going to make Scotch eggs.
Yes,
right?
yes, we
so
are.
What is that exactly?
Scotch egg. It's a hard-boiled egg.
Okay, hard-boiled eggs.
And usually it's a Scottish sausage that they wrap around it, but we're using Italian sausage and just bread it and then deep fry them. And
deep fry.
Yeah, and then we usually pair it with our local beer that we have. So
awesome.
Yeah, it's
okay.
Good. Also, we do a red onion gravy with a local wine to pair it for a dipping sauce also. So.
Well, let's get started.
Yeah, let's do this. So first off, we'll start with the red onion here.
Okay. And this is the red wine.
Of course, you can definitely taste that, definitely.
Jace cuts the red onion and puts it in a pan with oil and our wine.
And then we'll do in a little bit here after that cooks down, is we'll add just a roux to it.
Okay.
And some beef base. and just make a gravy out of it.
Sounds delicious.
It's pretty simple. Yeah, it just takes a little bit of time, but it brings the flavor out totally.
With our onion gravy cooking on the stove, it's time to start making our Scotch eggs.
Super
Safety
easy
first.
process. Yes, safety first. So go ahead and grab your egg here.
Okay. These are hard boiled.
These are already hard boiled. Yeah, we've pre-boiled those already. And what we'll do here is we'll dip it in the flour. Make a mess. It's not that big of a deal.
You're right.
Okay.
How's that?
I'll do the same.
Good.
And then what we'll do is I already we got this Italian sausage locally from Angus Meats.
Awesome.
And what we do is just flatten it out, put it right in the middle here.
In the middle.
And then just kind of roll it.
So this is a hands-on.
This is definitely hands-on process. It's just we're going to enclose the egg with the sausage. Just stretch that sausage around it.
Next, we dip our eggs back into the flour and then into an egg wash.
There we go.
That's why we're using our gloves.
Exactly. Woo, okay.
I didn't have to fill it up. And then we'll put them in the we just add Italian seasoning to the breadcrumbs. And then
This
what
is
you
the
do,
great. If you like to play with your
Yeah.
food, this is the perfect thing.
and then just kind of pack it around there a little bit.
Okay.
Next, we use the cool them. We'll cool them for a little bit. They go
We'll
over
put
here.
them into the fridge.
We'll put them in the fridge for a couple hours, let them cool, let the sausage, everything kind of tighten back down.
After they've cooled, we put our eggs into the deep fryer until they are golden brown. Then they're ready for the plate.
Nice golden brown.
Wow.
There we go.
We pour some of Jace's finished gravy for dipping and then top it all off with some garnish.
And look at what I also have.
Oh, our local Poole's beer. Oh, that's perfect.
So
Thank
is
you.
this supposed to go really
This
well
is
with this?
yes, it does. Actually, it's very well. You got to get it tasted.
Oh yeah. That's good. Good stuff.
Time to finally slice our egg open and give it a try.
Oh, I'm excited.
Give you a shot.
This is hearty right here.
Cheers.
That is so good. Never had anything like this. So super crunchy and salty on the outside.
And it pairs well with the little gravy and
It does.
a local beer.
Cheers, my friends.
Thank
That
you
was
so much.
really awesome.
Thanks for having us.
To get the recipe for Poole's Scotch Egg, head over to wagrown.com.
We all have our favorite type of beer, and for many of us, our favorite flavor comes down to the hops in the blend. The Yakima Valley is home to one of the most fertile and productive hop growing regions in the world. Jason Peralt is the CEO for Peralt Farms near Toppenish, and he says there's more to hops than bitterness.
They're going to give a very distinct quality. Every variety is different. You know, the name Mosaic came from the fact that we had a hard time describing specifically what the aromas were, because we were getting aromas of mango, tangerine, but also bubblegum, blueberries, and so on. And so it's really complex.
I've never seen a bubblegum ale, so I hope I don't see that one though.
But you know, it takes something like Citra, which is another one of the varieties that came out of Hop Breeding Company that is you know, the name says it all. It's much more. It's just a big citrus punch, you know. And now we've got varieties that add woody character to the beer. We have experimentals that have much bigger, you know, stone fruit, tropical, and so there's a wide array.
Right.
But getting those specific aromas takes years of crossbreeding different hops. In fact, it can take about a dozen years to get a new hop variety released for commercial production.
We'll make our crosses, and those crosses will result in, you know, thousands of progeny potentially. And we go through then a vetting process that starts with very high numbers, and you know, as we go through the process, we whittle it down.
Jason's team and their marketplace partners will test and compare the new varieties, searching for what will make the next best brew.
As a breeder, what I'll do is I'll take and come and break those cones open. You can see inside there's that yellow.
It's like a pollen almost?
It almost looks like pollen, but that's what's called lupulin.
Lupulin, okay.
Lupulin, those are glands, the oils and resins that we're interested in for brewing. So if you take one of those cones and you smash those glands up, because what you're doing is you're releasing those oils.
Right.
And many of those oils are very volatile, and so you get that immediate volatility. So when you break that open, that's when you really get the.
That's a strong IPA right there.
Yeah.
Hop breeding is long and expensive research, but there's always a refreshing end in sight.
We realized a few years ago that when you're dealing with thousands of potential new varieties or these selections, we can't have all of them tested in a commercial brew house. So we actually started home brewing, just stovetop home brewing, and realized the value in that we were able to get an idea of the impact of those hops early on. These three were selected for their aromatics.
Okay.
So the way we do this is we brew the exact same recipe. Okay. All we do is change the hopping bill. We'll start with this one.
Okay. I'm ready for some sensory analysis right here, let me tell you.
So typically what I'll do is I'll first let it swirl around, get a good feel for the nose. So you'll pick up probably some.
There's a little bit of a fruitiness to this.
A lot of citrus, kind of almost a little lemon lime with and then some stone fruit as well.
Yeah.
Maybe and just a hint of woody character, almost like what you'd get from oak aging.
Right.
And that's all from the hop.
Well, this is great, Jason. I mean, thank you so much for showing us around, and keep doing what you're doing because people like myself are loving it.
All right.
Thank you very much, man.
Coming up, I'm learning about the science behind the cider at WSU's Cider Apple Research Center.
Good luck, little buddies.
And we'll be in the Second Harvest Kitchen making a minty snack with some Washington mint oil. Kombucha is a fermented tea drink that people have been drinking for thousands of years. With its popularity on the rise, my friends at Seattle Kombucha Company gave me some samples of their latest batch to see what the people of Seattle think of this fizzy fermented beverage.
Hey guys, would you like to try some kombucha?
Sure.
I've never had kombucha before.
Really? This is your first time?
Yeah.
So this is from the Seattle Kombucha Company.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
This is peach, and this one is strawberry, and I would love for you guys to taste it and tell me what you think.
Not bad.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a little bit tart. You can definitely taste the peach though, which is nice. A little bit sour too.
I would describe it as fruity. There's like a little bit of fermentation in there, but not too much. It's good.
Yeah.
Very refreshing, like you said.
Yeah. Whoa. He's going for it.
I wasn't thinking they would like it.
So does that mean that you like it? You drained the cup?
Slightly sweet. There's light carbonation and like, I don't know, tastes like a fairly solid kombucha. So,
Yeah,
and like real strawberries.
Yeah, huh?
Not like
real strawberries,
Right.
yeah, it definitely tastes real strawberry.
You look in the camera, what do you think?
What do you think?
Yum.
Yum.
We are out at the WSU Mount Vernon's Research Center where their Cider Apple Research Program takes place. I chatted with Bree Eving and Ed Cheenstra about how the program strives to improve the cider industry. First, we start off in the orchard where it all begins.
So Ed, you're kind of in charge of the apples here,
yeah,
right?
I'm a technician here at the station, and what we're hoping to do out here is test some new mechanical harvesting technology that's coming.
What is a traditional cider apple?
They have a more tannin content, polyphenols. That gives a little bit of the bitterness that people are looking for in their finished cider.
The bite.
I want to get a better understanding of the cider making process, so I get hands-on with the new batch. First, we have to wash our beautiful Washington-grown apples so they're ready for the apple mill. Once our apples are ground, we use the water bladder press to get freshly squeezed apple juice.
So it just presses against the wall and gets other apple pieces and the juice flows out.
Do you make and bottle and sell cider from here, or?
No, we don't. We mostly have it for research.
Yeah.
So there's been a research program here since the 1970s.
Wow.
So it's one of the oldest cider research programs in the country.
Yeah, and what a great way to use Washington-grown apples.
Exactly.
Finally, we strain our juice through a sieve. Now our cider is ready to take to the lab for fermentation and for Bree's lab analysis.
People are really into cider right now.
Oh yeah. It just followed the craft brew industry a lot. And I think now that people are realizing that there's so many different kinds, it's not just one sugary type of drink, but there's so much complexity in cider and so many different world styles, it's becoming very popular. People want more knowledge and more information, so there's a lot more research going on here.
So what kind of research would you do?
Looking into mechanical harvesting and how that would impact the cider. There's research on cider cultivars and how that would impact different flavor profiles.
Before we begin, we need to wake up the yeast that will help our cider ferment quicker. We add some warm water and put it to the side for about 20 minutes. Then we start to analyze our batch of juice.
So first we're going to check out our sugar levels, and this is a refractometer. So this uses light waves to measure your concentration of sugars.
Next, we test the juice's pH levels.
So that's, like I said, important because that determines how much of these sulfites that we're adding to the juice.
We measure out our sulfites and add it to our batch. These prevent bacteria growth and remove the natural yeast to make way so our cultured yeast can ferment. We then add nutrients that will also help our yeast stay healthy.
Gotta keep the yeast happy.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point of making cider is making your yeast happy. So
we add in the nutrients, and then finally, it's time for our yeast to get to work.
Some people like to shake it up. I like to give them a little bit of time to readjust to their new home and say nice things to them because they're going to work very hard. And then we're just going to seal it off with an airlock.
Good luck, little buddies.
We'll do great. So 2 weeks later, we would come back and we'd have cider. Yay!
Welcome to the kitchen at Second Harvest Food Bank. We're here cooking with Kristen, and Julie Humphreys is joining us from Second Harvest to tell us more about the food bank and all the great stuff that you guys do. And thank you for letting us use your beautiful kitchen.
You bet. We love having Washington grown here because we're all about products grown in Washington that are donated to Second Harvest that we can then get out to families in need and people that are hungry.
It's just amazing how big of a facility you have here.
We are really a distribution center here at Second Harvest, and so we resource that food, bring it in here, and distribute it to 250 food banks and food pantries and through our mobile markets throughout eastern Washington and North Idaho. So,
any idea how many people you are helping in the region?
Yes, 55,000 people every week. Every week line up at a food bank, a food pantry, or a mobile market to get food at no cost. That's just how great the need is. And most of these people are working families. They're working poor. They maybe have 2 jobs, but they're low-paid jobs, and they're just at that point where they're out of funds.
So the food that comes into your warehouse, that comes from local farmers?
That is our second highest volume of food is from growers, so we love that. We also get a lot from Grocery Rescue, which is really neat because that means that we're taking care of some of the waste problem. So we'll get produce that's grown by area growers as well, but it's at the grocery store. It may be a day or so away from expiration, but it's still really good. We'll get that and we'll have it on someone's table that evening.
Well, talk about the kitchen and how we get to spend a lot of time here, shooting our episodes for Washington Grown, but this is you use this to really do some great things here.
Yeah, this is a teaching kitchen. So we built the kitchen thanks to generous donations by many donors here, and then we have area chefs come in here and teach community classes. We have our own chefs and dietitians on staff at Second Harvest that teach classes. So we do 2 different types of classes. We do paid classes, so anybody can sign up and learn how to knife sharpening skills, sausage making class. And then by you paying for that class, you support someone in need to come take a class for free.
That's awesome.
So those are our community classes, and they're all on our website at 2-harvest.org, I have to say that, and just go to the kitchen and you can find out about all the classes.
So we get to learn a lot from Kristen, and you get to hang out with us.
You'd think after 3 years in the kitchen I'd be a little better in the kitchen, my adult children hope, but I can't wait to learn from you too, especially popcorn.
I don't see very many ingredients, so it must be something fairly simple, right?
We are making something simple today, using another Washington product, and that's mint oil.
Okay, yeah.
This is something I've been eating since I was a kid, but it's just a really fun, simple way to use very few ingredients but make something that's really unique and phenomenal. This is like a candied popcorn, and a lot of times, do you make candied popcorns? Caramel corn or anything?
Not usually.
I like to eat them, but I don't make them.
So they're really, everyone loves caramel corn, but it takes quite a bit of time because you have to bake it for about an hour and just slowly let the syrup then get to like a hard set on your popcorn. But I'm going to show you a clever little hack today, and we're just going to microwave it.
Awesome.
And it'll be done cooking in like less than 3 minutes.
Grown in Washington, and Tomas had a chance to actually taste some of the oil that you have out in the field. And it's really strong.
And you can drive by during harvest time, and you know.
you can,
when the moment comes where we add it in.
Yes.
You'll know.
Okay.
But we're going to start by melting some butter.
Okay.
Once our butter is melted, Kristen stirs in sugar, corn syrup, and a dash of salt. While we wait for our candy syrup to boil, I start to air pop our popcorn.
All right. Woo! Whoa, there we go.
Now that the popcorn is ready, Kristen finishes the syrup by adding the mint oil and green food coloring.
How much oil do you use?
1/8 of a teaspoon.
Oh my
the
goodness,
tiniest amount. But it's so concentrated that it'll give everything a really nice mint flavor without needing a lot of it.
Once the syrup is ready, Kristen pours it on our popcorn and mixes it until it's coated. Then we heat it up in the microwave and repeat the process 2 more times.
So we did it 3 times?
Yes. 45 seconds, 30 seconds, and 30 seconds.
Okay.
Awesome. Now we're just gonna put it in 9x13 that we just sprayed to help it not stick to anything. But this will just let it cool off a little faster. It does have a really fun color. I think that's part of why my kids
absolutely
enjoy it so much.
Once our mint popcorn is cooled, it's time for us to dig in.
It's all crispy. Can I break it up a little bit?
Yeah. Oh, this is a good piece for me.
There we go. That was so good.
It's really light.
It's really light. And the mint is subtle. It's not like you're eating a mint leaf or something with your popcorn.
And it's not like cloyingly sweet. It's just nice and light.
Oh, that
It's
is
really
fabulous. I love the mint.
To get Kristen's recipe for mint popcorn, head over to wagrown.com.
So whether it's apples for cider or hops for beer, Washington-grown ingredients are guaranteed to make an excellent brew. That's it for this episode of Washington Grown. Thanks for watching.